The Mystara project is proud to present part 30 of the Creatures of Mystara series. In this video, we take a look at normal and giant bats. Animals often associated with sinister creatures of the night. Normal bats, giant bats, and giant vampire bats were introduced in the 1981 Basic Rulebook, on page 31. Both varieties of bat have a moderate armor class of 6, the equivalent of scale mail armor, due to their flying agility. Normal bats are typically 5 to 6 inches long, with a quarter of a hit dice, and 1 hit point each. Giant bats are usually about 5 foot long, with a 25-foot wingspan, and 2 hit dice. Normal bats fly at the speed that an unencumbered human walks, whilst the giant versions fly 50% faster. On the ground, or on ceilings or branches, normal bats move only 9 feet per turn, and giant bats move like a heavily encumbered human. Normal bats are harmless, unless encountered in groups of 10 or more. These flights of bats can swarm around the head of a victim, automatically causing them to be confused. Confused characters suffer a 10% penalty on to-hit rolls and saves, and can't cast spells. For every 10 bats, 1 character can be confused. Unless the bats are controlled by someone, they must check morale every round. Their morale is classified as unmotivated, with a 55% chance of flying away. Giant bats have a bite attack, doing 1 to 4 damage. Normal bats are found in groups of 1 to 100, whilst their giant cousins are encountered in groups of 1 to 10. Normal bats save as normal humans, and giant bats as first-level fighters. Giant bats have normal morale, fleeing 36% of the time. As animals, they have no treasure, 2 intelligence, and are neutrally aligned. Bats are unaffected by light spells, but are blinded by silence 15-foot radius spells. They are commonly encountered, typically roosting during the day in caverns and ruins. Giant bats can fly at full speed carrying up to 500 coin, and at half speed up to 1000 coin. They may be outfitted with barding up to chain mail. Giant bats are not considered steady enough mounts to use missile fire from, and do not have a swoop attack. Normal bats are insectivores, and giant bats are hemivores, who will attack humanoids if extremely hungry. 1 in 20 giant bat encounters will be with giant vampire bats. The 2 varieties are the same in most respects, except the latter's bite is much more dangerous. Bitten victims must save against paralysis, or fall unconscious for 1 to 10 rounds. The vampire bat continues to attack an unconscious victim, drinking their blood. Others may attack the bat whilst it is draining blood, but any successful hit has a 50% chance of hitting the unconscious victim. Anyone drained to death by this blood-sucking bat must save versus spells, or rise as an undead 24 hours later. The rulebooks do not specify the type of undead. Perhaps it might be a common undead type of equivalent hit dice to the victim's level. It is noted that in the Haunted Tower boxed set, it specified that a character would rise as a white. Bats are found in Karamikos. There is a giant bat in the chimney of the west hall of the ruined castle of Mystara, north of Threshold. A flock of 6 giant bats inhabit a cave on the hill opposite Guido's fort, east of Penhaligon. They are present in the cave from about 1 hour before sunrise, to 1 hour after nightfall. They attack any intruders, but will not pursue them outside. 1 to 4 of these creatures may be encountered on the hill with a 2.78% chance per night. And 1 to 4 may be encountered on the 3rd level of caverns under the hill, every 12 hours on average. In the Crazen Mountains spur of the Kruth Mountains, 2 to 8 giant bats may be encountered at night, around the Western Trail. Thousands of normal black bats live in a cavern near the rock, between the Crazen and Barkle Mountains. They can sometimes be seen flying overhead at night, which is seen as an evil omen. The Hobgoblin King, Vlak, of the Vlakkag tribe, based on the ground floor of the ruins of Zitarka's main tower, has 5 pet giant vampire bats. Intruders to Zitarka who cross the higher ground are attacked by them, from their roosts on an upper floor of the tower. Vlak also uses them to attack the Traladeran defenders at night, during the siege of Sukiskin. Bats are commonly found in the Vufold Hills. 2 to 5 are encountered every 15th night, on average. There are 6 in the lair of Verdalith, a green dragon. Verdalith polymorphs himself into a bat to enter and exit his cave through a hole in the crest of a hill. Bats are also common in the vicinity of Luln. Thousands inhabit a limestone cave in Wormhaven, in the River Fork Woods. If disturbed by any noise or light, their squeaking warns the troglodyte inhabitants of the complex. After a round of flying in the cave, they exit through the ceiling cracks. 5 hungry giant bats are prepared to attack humanoids in the petrified forest region of the Dimrak Forest. Throughout the Dimrak Forest, 2 to 5 giant bats are encountered every 8th night on average. On average, 2 giant bats are encountered every 16 hours spent in the caverns of the Goblin Chief Kosovic, known as the Dimrak Dread. In the open terrain areas of eastern Karamikos, 2 to 5 giant bats are encountered once every 30 nights, on average. In the Zargash Spur of eastern Karamikos, 2 to 5 giant bats are encountered every 10 nights, on average. In the largely uninhabited region of eastern Hutaka, 2 to 5 giant bats are encountered every 15 nights, on average. In the inhabited region of western Hutaka, 2 to 5 giant bats are encountered every 37 nights, on average. They are found near undead lairs throughout Karamikos. Bats are common in Blight Swamp. The vampire, Lord Andrew Vanderveach, controls 6 giant bats. 6 giant bats sleep in a closet of the Temple of the Shield in the ruined town of Zadreth, east of Threshold. They do not bother those who don't disturb them. 8 giant bats inhabit the well room in the ruins of Damara's castle, possibly located in the estate of Dmitrov. They attack if disturbed by light. 6 giant bats, and hundreds of normal bats, inhabit a cave in Mount Dread, Karamikos. The giant bats attack intruders, whilst the normal bats fly around causing confusion. In the Emirates of Alaruum, groups of 7 giant bats, one of which is a vampire bat, can be encountered on the 3rd and 4th tiers of the pyramid of Kaini DKR, every 16 hours on average. 47 normal bats inhabit a cave in Abu Ghabar's cavern complex, in the Dithastinian highlands of the Emirates, near the village of Dar el Tamia. During the day, their sleep does not appear to be disturbed by light, but a low level of noise will stir them, before they settle again. Commotion, like in a battle, will cause them to swarm randomly. In Glantry, they are found throughout the hills. They are common in the hills of Ley Perdu. They thrive in the blue pines forests of Moldavia. Normal bats are encountered every 33 hours on average, in the woods around Lost Axe Lake in southeastern Glantry, in groups of 1 to 10. Normal bats thrive on the slopes of Mon Deer. Groups of 10 to 40 normal bats are encountered every 12 hours on average, in the ruined temple of Ariana, in a remote part of Glantry. Lady Shajar Markovich, the Nosferatu Baroness of Vladimirov, controls normal bats. She dispatches 1 or 2 to spy on each of her lovers, to ensure they do not cheat on her. Giant vampire bats are found in the tunnels under Ernd Castle. They are found throughout the caverns of Dengar. Bats descended from gnomish pets and work animals, inhabit the Falun caverns of the Hardanger Range. Bats are common in the 5 Shires, especially on the coast and the wooded hills. Many small furry bats hang from dozens of stalagmites in the Toad Statue Cave, controlled by the cult of Stodos, in the Blizzard Pass of the Black Spires. In another cave of the complex containing a ladder, bats hang from the ceiling, and can be disturbed to assist an escape. In Lower Ogamore, under the southwestern Broken Lands, the ogres barbecue giant bats, as a delicacy they call winged sausage. Usually, this fine meal is reserved for ogre chiefs. 4 giant bats roost in a tower of the ruins of Fort Boast, in Upper Bugburbia, in the northwestern Broken Lands. 1 to 10 giant bats can be encountered every 36 hours on average, in Eliar's treasury under his tower, at Grey Mountain, south of Salenika. 4,000 steam bats roost in the eastern section of Dragon Lake Cavern, in the Shadow Elf territories. The Shadow Elves respect them, rationalizing that Raphael may have guided the bats to this place. The steam bat motif is significant to the Temple of Raphael. Vampire bats are found in the territories of the Children of Atruagin. Ayella Moonstalker, war chief of the Children of the Horse, has a marquee made from sewn-together hearts of her totem animal, the vampire bat. The vampire bat tribe of the Children of the Tiger are located about 24 miles northwest of Port Tenabar. A stuffed giant bat is on display in the museum under Mount Kiata on the island of Teki Noraria. Once every 30 nights on average, a group of 4 to 16 giant vampire bats are encountered in the Elfswood of Norvold. Once in every 300 nights, a vampire in bat form accompanies them. Bats are found throughout the caverns of the Kingdom of Stoutfellow, in the southern Kerethar Mountains of southwestern Alphatia. They are also found in Worm's Teeth Range caves, in Norvold. Bats also roost in dark cavernous areas of the mobile gnomish stronghold, Earthshaker, and can sometimes be heard. Normal bats are found in the vicinity of Golim village, in the barony of Two Lakes Vale in Norvold. During the undead's invasion of the barony, 2 vampires control the bats, to try to confuse clerics who attempt to turn them. In the Great Waste region, bats are found in the Sind Desert. In the caverns of Gracalia under the Plane of Fire, normal and giant bats are kept as pets, eaten as a staple meal. Their guano is collected by planters, known as ordens, and taken to lower caverns to fertilize crops. Groups of 1 to 100 normal bats can be encountered every 120 miles of travel, on average, through the great pass tunnels and valleys of the Black Mountains. 1 to 10 giant bats are encountered every 12 days on average, in the Nemkin Ilaka. In Hule, one of the panels of a shrine in the town of Magden, commemorating the life of Hosadas, depicts him on one of the towers of Greatrealm, surrounded by a cloud of bats. Normal bats are found in the dark wood of Niwelm, in western Hule. In the Serpent Peninsula region, normal bats are known to try to roost, in the upper levels of the Rzizi Burungi, in Tanakumba. The cannibals in the Temple of Slizak on Taboo Island, on the central plateau of the Isle of Dread, use a net to stop debris, bats, and other creatures, entering their main hall living area, through a hole in the ceiling. In the Savage Coast region, sometime after AC 900, Shazaks started to domesticate giant bats found in the caverns under the hills of Tlak. Now, elite Shazaks like greater shamans and Wakani use them as mounts. They have proven useful for scouts to spot Rakasta incursions. Each Shazak village usually has 1 or 2 giant bats. Most giant bat mounts are found in the capital of Arug. Horathian merchants venture up the Shady River to the Shazak village of Snart, to trade for bat guano and other goods. On the 25th of Vatamont AC 1001, the Shazak shaman Hazar of Arug flies on her giant bat to the Princess Ark, to enlist the help of Haldamar against a 4-eyed predator. Her old giant bat dies, after colliding with a mast on the Ark. On Orc's Head Peninsula, normal bats are found in the northern Jibaru scrub at night, eating insects. A strange phenomena, referred to as plagues from the sky, causes hundreds of dead bats, and other creatures and objects, to occasionally drop from the sky, from Trident Bay to the Yazak Steppes. The cloud inhabiting thunderheads, often seen above the Wallara grasslands, prey on bats. In Denegoth, groups of 1 to 100 giant bats can be encountered in Lothana Forest, once every 75 nights, on average. In the Great Forest of Jeffron, 1 to 100 giant bats are encountered, on average, every 100 nights. 1 to 100 giant bats are encountered on the 3rd level of the catacombs under the ruins of Drax Taulen, every 100 days. On the 1st level of the catacombs, bats stained by phosphorescent drippings from the ceiling, roost in the Cave of Lights. They are disturbed by movement. Many normal bats and 2 giant bats roost in the abandoned library of the Halls of Thunderdelve. Upon being disturbed, the normal bats fly away through a fissure in the ceiling, but the giant bats attack. Thunderdelve Mountain was not specifically placed in Mystara, but some believe it could be the dwarven lair marked in the expert rulebook map, in the Kruth Mountain foothills, south of the Helek River of Darakin. Thunder Rift was not specifically placed in Mystara, but it hosts some bats. 2 giant bats, and 2 giant vampire bats, roost on the canopy bed of the guest quarters, of the abandoned Fighters Academy, in the Gloomfens. The smell of ammonia from the guano is strong in this room. 1 to 4 giant bats can be encountered every 12 hours in the towers of the Academy, with only 1 to 3 encountered on the ground floor of the Academy every 24 hours. 1 giant vampire bat can be encountered every 24 hours in the towers, and 1 or 2 every 24 hours, on the ground floor of the Academy. The weight room of the Fighters Academy hosts a colony of 24 normal bats, and 2 rust monsters eating the metal weights. The room has a strong ammonia odor. If the bats are disturbed by a commotion, they swarm in 2 flights of 12, flying out the window if their morale breaks. Swarms of normal bats can be encountered in the underkeep of Hearthhome every 40 hours, on average. Swarms of 10 to 100 normal bats can be encountered every 40 hours on average, in the goblin-conquered stronghold, known as the Palace of Dread, in the Burning Hills. To counter the Hollow World's perpetual daylight, the immortal Ordana gifted bats the innate ability to produce continual darkness, whilst in flight, giving their delicate wing membranes protection against the sun's rays. Today, upwards of 1,000 species of bat exist in the Hollow World. In the Azcan Empire, 1.2 million little brown bats inhabit a cavern in the Aztlan Mountains. Bat noises can be heard easily from outside the cave. The stench of the guano is overpowering. At any one time, hundreds are flying, obscured by darkness. If the whole colony is disturbed by excessive noise of light, no meaningful actions are possible in the cave for 10 minutes, until they depart the cave. The bats have grown accustomed to the scent of Schattenalfen guards posted in the caverns. Giant bats, including vampiric ones, inhabit the rainforests of the Azcan Empire. Bats are sometimes found in Nithia. They are also found in the caverns of the Schattenalfen Mountains. They are also found in the caverns of the floating continent of Valoin Flamica, and in caves of the Brutman territory's arid hills. Zargosian bats were introduced in HWR3, the Mylenian Empire, on page 42 of the campaign book. Zargosian sorcerers in the Valley of Night magically enlarged giant vampire bats to create these creatures, and added a reptilian tail and a longer tongue. All their stats are the same as giant vampire bats, with the following exceptions. They have 4+3 hit dice, being 6 foot long with a wingspan of more than 35 feet. Their bite does 1 to 8 damage. Instead of biting, they may spit poison up to 30 feet at a single target. A failed save versus paralysis results in unconsciousness for 1 to 10 rounds. Victims killed by Zargosian blood drain must save versus spells, or rise as a zombie, after 24 hours. They have better than average animal intelligence, with 3. This combined with their association with Zargosians, has given them a chaotic alignment. They are able to fly at full speed with up to 750 coin encumbrance. Half speed is possible up to 1,500 coin, allowing them to act as mounts for humans of light or moderate weight. Specifically, they are used as mounts by Zargosian clerics and sorcerers, who know the proper command words to control them. They are unlikely to let anyone else ride them. Usually the only reason they are seen outside the Valley of Night is when acting as mounts for their controllers. Within the valley, they inhabit caves and sinkholes. 3 Zargosian bat mounts are roosting in a secret entryway to the tomb of Astius, having been brought there by the Zargosian cleric Chiosis and 2 changelings. In AC 1010, the Zargosian usurper, Emperor Karakonomnos, rides his giant bat to the roof of the Tower of Xanthopan in Corissa, to destroy the Mylenian Emperor Adronius. Elsewhere in the multiverse, thousands of purple bats are found in the Rainbow Realm dimension world of Violetland. If disturbed by flying intruders, they fly around causing confusion for a round before departing. But their commotion alerts purple worms, lurking beneath the sands. In the Black Realm pocket dimension, bats infest the Isle of Silshard the Black. Bats inhabiting the entropic outer plane of pits are able to breathe the poisonous air. Bats are common in Mystara, and have been used extensively by the setting's designers, as random encounters, spooky atmospheric props, pests, alarms, food, mounts and minions of evil. As groups of 10 or more normal bats can automatically confuse a creature, they can be used for any level of play. They are often used as nocturnal random encounters. Bats are a go-to creature for a spooky atmosphere, startling the PCs as they are disturbed and suddenly start flying around. They often act as cheap alarm systems for cavern dwellers. They are disturbed by noise and light. In some cases, as we have discussed, just entering the room is enough to trigger them. On other occasions, they only stir when there is the commotion of battle. Careful adventurers can pick up on the nearby presence of bats by hearing their squeaks and wing flaps. They may also be able to get a whiff of an ammonia odor. Low-level characters who learn not to disturb roosting bats can avoid alerting their enemies of their presence. Silence 15-foot radius spells are effective for small bat colonies, But would a cleric waste this spell on bats, when they could have saved it for a dangerous enemy caster? Normal bats are often used in conjunction with other creatures in the same room. The bats cause confusion for 1 or 2 rounds before flying away, giving a more dangerous opponent an initial advantage. Often, the other creatures are giant bats. Swarming bats can make missile fire impossible, and wind gusts from their wings may extinguish torches. To some cultures, like Ogormore and Gracalia, they are part of their diet. Gnomes and Gracalians also keep them as pets, the former also using them as work animals. They provide a source of guano, valued by magic users for spell components, and Gracalian ordans as fertilizer. They could be carriers of disease, like the real-world Lissa virus. Shazaks, gnomes, or Gracalians could require assistance to deal with a mysterious disease killing their population. Giant bats are often encountered with normal and vampire brethren. They are used as mounts by elite Shazaks with a total weight of 1,000 coin or less. Many creatures are associated with bats. Vampires, Nosferatu and werebats are the most well-known, being able to summon and control them and take their form. Greater night dragons and the gigantic bat-shaped nightwings are able to polymorph victims into bats. Bats can then be used by these creatures to act as their spies and minions. Controllers able to cast continual darkness on their bat minions may make for a puzzling encounter, until the PCs work out they can cast continual light, or dispel magic, on the darkness. It is also noted that Ulzak homunculi commonly take the form of a bat. Cryons are sentient Arctic bipedal bats, but they do not appear to have any links with bats. 2 magic items are associated with bats. A whistle of bat summoning may be used once per day to summon a bat if one is within a mile outdoors, or 240 feet indoors. The bat is not controlled and reacts normally to the summoner when it comes within 50 yards. Each egg of wonder has an 8.5% chance of hatching a bat, which then rapidly grows to the size of a giant bat. It obeys the egg thrower for 1 hour, before vanishing. This concludes part 30 of the Creatures of Mystara series, featuring the winged creatures of the night, favored by vampires and villains, the common and giant bats.